Hello and welcome everybody to this week's Iowa Organic Association webinar. We are super excited to have Carly Zierke with us today. It's Zierke like turkey, or
Yeah.
Zierke like turkey. There we go. I got it right. I saw that somewhere. And I was introduced to Carly through Grade A Gardens in Earlham, Iowa. And I said, hey, Grade A Gardens, who is somebody that's doing marketing well? And they pointed out Carly. So we are super excited to have her come and share with us today. Just a quick second about the Iowa Organic Association. We are a statewide organization that is committed to organic farmers and organic consumers in the state of Iowa. In that, we do farmer to farmer education and support like webinars, field days. We also do a lot of outreach events, visiting colleges, talking to students on college campuses, in science classes, agricultural classes, a wide range of different types of classes that we go and visit at our college campuses, talking about organic agriculture and organic consumer opportunities. We also work with the transition to organic partnership program. So this is a big push that we are a part of right now that is helping build organic farms across the United States and with our organization specifically here in Iowa. So the transition to organic partnership program helps new organic farmers, whether they've been farming organically and now they're going to certify, or they're just getting started organic farmer, or they're just getting started farming in general. It pairs them with an experienced organic farmer so they can ask questions about production. They can ask questions about record keeping, the certification process in a roughly year-long mentorship relationship. So we are super excited about that. We have mentorship pairs across the state, everything from vegetable production to a little bit of agritourism and on-farm visit type of things to dairies and row crop production. So we run the gamut in our mentorship pairs as we run the gamut of organic agriculture in Iowa. So we are super excited to be a part of that. And if you would like any information about that, please be sure to reach out to us. Of course, today is a part of our winter webinar series. After today, we will be halfway through. You can go to our website and find our YouTube channel. Just search Iowa Organic Association on YouTube. You can easily find our past webinars. We've had a few great ones, but we have 3 great ones coming up today after this amazing one. We'll have robotic milking on organic dairy in a couple weeks, and then we'll have some soil health for organic farms. This is going to be everything from a small scale backyard garden to larger scale organic row crop operations, and then we'll close out the season with organic apple and cider production. So we are very excited about those. We have some great organic farmers in Iowa, and we love sharing their story. With that said, I would like to turn it over now to Carly to get us started on direct marketing. So Carly, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks so much, Ethan. Yeah, I'm really excited today. This is my first webinar, and I'm excited to share with you guys about direct marketing, specifically digital marketing, and a lot of the things that we're doing on our farm and seeing success with. So I'll jump in with a little bit of information about our farm. My farm's name is Sweet Season Farm, and my husband and I started the farm in 2022. We are in Calmer, Iowa, which is just south of Decorah, Iowa, up here in Northeast Iowa. And we've been certified organic since the 2023 season, so we're going into our 3rd season as a certified organic farm. We sell exclusively vegetables. So we sell kind of your typical wide array of farmers market vegetables. And we sell these primarily at the Decorah Farmers Market. That is where pretty much all of our direct marketing is taking place right now. And we're also selling some wholesale through local co-ops. We do focus pretty heavily, at least 50% right now and probably into the future on direct marketing. Like I said, that takes place at the Decorah Farmers Market, and we're also running a program that we call a Market Share CSA program. And that is essentially a farmers market gift card that people can preload and use at our stand any given week. Before farming, I studied journalism and mass communication at the University of Iowa, and then I worked at a couple different nonprofits doing digital marketing, namely email and social media marketing. And I learned a lot during that time. I feel like a lot of what I learned really applies now as an organic farm. We are also communicating our values, and what we're doing beyond simply, the product. There's a lot more to our farms, and I think that's a really exciting thing to be communicating about. So today we're going to be talking about mostly email and social media marketing and how you can help your customers get to know your farm better and become dedicated supporters of what you're doing, which hopefully translates into sales as well. We're going to be talking about doing that through really good, solid communications. Um, and I think that these tactics apply not only on email and social media, but anywhere where you're doing communications with your customers. We're going to do this by going through a lot of examples of different posts that I felt worked well for our farm. These are just how I decided to post our content, but I think that you can take these examples and apply them to your farm in all kinds of different ways, depending on what you're trying to message about, what formats you're most comfortable with, all those different things. Toward the end of the presentation, we're going to be talking about some of the tactics that I like to use to speed up my marketing. We're all farmers, we're all super busy. We don't have communications teams at our backs doing some of this workload. So I think it's really important to think about how to structure your communication time so that it is really manageable for you and that it makes a big impact in a fairly short amount of time. Lastly, I'm going to talk about some of the resources I liked to use as I was thinking about how I wanted to do digital marketing for our business and where I continue to go for up-to-date marketing info because the landscape is always changing. So number one, I wanted to talk about getting people on your email list. This is the first step, of course, to building all of these customer relationships, and it's kind of where all the customers start within our business. So like I said, we are primarily a farmer's market farm when it comes to direct marketing, and so I feel that email marketing is really critical to what we're doing at the farmer's market. I think that having a solid email list adds a lot of resilience to what you're doing. When we have somebody on our email contact list, they're not just a customer that we see sometimes at the market, but they're kind of brought into the fold of what we're doing. And they begin to understand our farm and our values and everything else on a deeper level. And I do feel that that brings in repeat sales. So that's really important. In addition, if you are a farmer's market farm or if you're relying on some other type of direct marketing outlet, I think that having an email list is really helpful because if your market channels ever change, you'll be able to contact those customers and let them know where you are selling now. I just feel that's super important. In addition, I feel like having people and giving them regular communications really brings people beyond the farmer's market. We sell to people at the market all the time who are just one-off sales, and they might think of our farm as the one with the green tablecloths on the north side, or that nice young couple or whatever they might perceive you as. But when you begin to have their email list, they'll start to understand what you're doing and why on a completely new level. You might have noticed that I emphasized email before social media, and that's super intentional. I feel like email is absolutely critical. If you only have time to do some communications for your business, I do think it should be email. There's a lot of reasons for this. One is that social media is maybe a little bit more volatile. Algorithms can change, your account could get hacked, all kinds of different things might happen. Email is a little slower to evolve and change, a little bit more secure. So that's a really awesome thing to be basing your contact list off of. In addition, I feel like people buy from emails far more often than they are purchasing on social media. We can talk about the exact same topic about some sale that our farm is having on email and on social media, but a bulk of the actual sales do come from email marketing. So if you are looking to maximize your impact, that is where I would recommend spending your time. So getting people to your list is a constant process. People are always coming into and leaving your business. And so adding people to your email list isn't a one and done, where you find 300 people and they sign up and your email list building is done. It's really important to have kind of a existing mechanism for bringing people into that list on an ongoing basis. There are three different ways that our farm is doing this that I have found manageable and really effective. So, number one is to make sure that you're capturing the emails from your past customers. Some of us have CSAs or we sell on online stores or different ways. It's important to make sure that you are capturing those emails, making sure you have permission to email those customers because you know they are already awesome customers and you can turn them into a repeat customer. Secondly, a really easy tactic that I've enjoyed is having giveaways at the farmers market or a tabling event or whatever you're doing to market in person. So, for example, this November, I put together some Thanksgiving boxes of produce. And I just let people know as they were passing through the market, hey, if you want to enter to win $35 in Thanksgiving produce, just put your name down on this list, and we will email you if you are a winner. I think that's a really fun tactic. It's a cool way to give back. And not all those people will stay on your list long term, but a lot of them will. So I think it's a really simple way to get people on your list and a really great investment of your time. The third option here, and probably the most involved and maybe just a little bit advanced, but I think that it's not so hard to implement if you're already started with email marketing, is to have what's called a lead magnet. You've probably seen these. A lot of times they look like somebody giving away a free PDF in exchange for your email. So I'm going to show you guys what that looks like on our farm. So I created a PDF a couple years ago. I've made some updates to it over time, and added pages. It's about 16 pages long right now, but this could be as complicated or as simple as you like. Um, I made this in Canva, and it is a vegetable storage guide. This is an idea that came from my digital farmer, Corinna Bench, and I implemented this on our farm. And basically, it's a lot of tables letting people know how to store different vegetable types and what's in season, some really simple recipe ideas, things like that. This is a really awesome PDF that our customers love. It's an easy way to get somebody's email and give them something in exchange immediately. And we get a lot of signups this way. That's
Uh,
primarily, yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna jump in to make sure that people know this. You can feel free to ask questions in the chat or the Q&A as well. But just a quick question on the lead magnet. Are you doing that through your website then? And what website software platform are you using?
Totally, yeah. So the actual PDF I made in Canva, and it
Sure.
is living on my Google Drive. And so I have just a shareable link open to the public that I can send out to get people this guide. And that's happening primarily here through an email or a website pop-up. When people come to our website, they're going to see all the awesome things that they can learn about from this cheat sheet, from this vegetable storage guide. And once they enter their email, they're going to get an automated email with the link inside. Um, so you can set that up. I am using MailChimp. I've used other email software though, at different jobs and things, and they all are slightly different in how you do it, but there's lots of different ways to set up an automated email. So yeah, pretty much these contacts are coming through the pop-up and they're automatically receiving this welcome email. And I feel like it's really appreciated and just a really nice first impression on your customers. It takes some time to set up, but it's something you can do in the winter and it'll just keep rolling throughout the season.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. So once we have people on the email list, there's a few primary ways that we are using that list. I keep it pretty simple. For our farm, I'm just sending out one weekly email every single Saturday. I've been doing it every Saturday for like 3 years, and I feel like that consistency is really valued by our customers. Um, so those emails I send immediately before the farmer's market. And right now they contain a list of what we're bringing to the market and then a recipe. Um, I think it's really important to keep it simple. Over time, our emails have become shorter and shorter. It used to be the trendy thing to do to put lots of different sections in an email newsletter, and we were doing that. But a lot of research and I think our data too shows that the shorter the email, the more people are going to read through the whole thing and really internalize your message. So we are moving increasingly toward that over time. And I'll show you an example of that next. In the off season, I am switching up that schedule a little bit. I'm sending just about 2 to 3 emails per month. I think that it's really important to try to keep some communication going through the winter. But I think it's okay to switch up that schedule when you just don't have as many things available. In addition, I do feel it's important to have a mix of promotional and non-promotional content, especially in the off season, and especially if you have a CSA. You don't want people to think that every time they get an email from your farm in the winter, you're promoting a CSA product. So I'll show you some examples too of how we are mixing up that content during the winter. So this is part of a weekly email that I sent in November before one of our winter farmers markets. And this is pretty much the whole email. I cropped it kind of differently so that I could show you it on a slide, but it basically has a header with our farm's logo and then this content. Um, this particular week, my husband and I noticed that we had a lot of roots available and that we wanted to put together some kind of kit that customers could buy and promote that. So we put together these bags. And we included a really simple recipe on how to roast them on a baking sheet. I made this really like fun and exciting and hyped it up. And we completely sold out of these, even though I felt like we had bought or brought quite a lot with us to the market. Um, so I think that it's really important, just like this, to as much as you can, just focus on one product in a week. And you're gonna probably sell out of that product and see some really great results. All right, so in this next section, we're going to talk about building a loyal community through your good communications and some of the principles that I feel apply no matter where you're communicating with your customers. And again, we're going to go
We,
through a lot. Yeah.
yeah, can we ask a couple of email related questions
Oh,
first?
yeah.
The first one is a kind of a specific question, and I looked it up, and I don't know if you have any experiences with this, but Nicole asks, is there an easy way to get customer emails from Square into MailChimp? Are you
Yeah.
familiar with that?
That's a great question. Yes, I use Square for our market share CSA. People are signing up on Square. Um, gosh, I have some. It was an interesting thing to set up. I think I'm using Zapier, Zapier, for some of that to make sure that my customers are getting the tags that I want in MailChimp. But I do believe you can connect MailChimp and Square and import those customers. But for my purposes, I did want them to be tagged that they were a market share customer automatically. So I did play with that connection through Zapier to take it one step further. But I think with MailChimp's basic connection, you can connect it directly with Square.
Yeah, it looks like there is a MailChimp Square integration. Has that backfired for you? Was the other part of the question of having customers that technically didn't sign up for an email, um, all of a sudden getting emails?
Yeah, I haven't run into that so far. I am curious if there are any like checkboxes that people could add to add a permission
Mhm.
to for us to use their stuff in marketing. For us, we're just using Square payment links, so they're really basic. I don't have like a full-blown Square store, so my features are kind of limited. So I'm not sure what you could do with a more advanced store if that might become an option at checkout.
And then in your emails, those great answers. And I also popped the link to Zapier in the chat as well, if anybody wants to see that. But also with your emails, how many photos do you think is a sweet spot for you in those emails?
Sure, yeah. I've tried quite a few different things over the past year. I feel like in general, I could be using fewer. I feel like maybe two or three max. Um, just because if you look at some research, you'll find that a lot of people are viewing emails with their images off, kind of by default. It's kind of a spam thing that a lot of email providers have built in. So I think it's important to remember that most people might not, I think as many as 50% of people might not even be seeing your images. So um, I try to rely a little bit less on those.
Awesome. Thank you.
Mhm. Cool. Okay, so I feel like that ties in really nicely to this part. Consistency is super important, especially with email, like we were talking about. Consistency is something that's really easy to understand, but it's really hard to implement, especially as a farmer. For us, we are sending an email once a week and doing social media posts about 3 times a week. I don't think you have to be doing things at the same frequency as us to experience success, but you have to find some kind of schedule that you can keep up with on a regular basis. So think about that as you create a schedule for yourself. Number two is a big trend in social media right now. It's all about offering value. So over time with our communications, I've tried to focus less on promoting a product, and more on giving the customer what they want and hopefully showing them that we aren't going to fill their inbox or their social media feed with all kinds of different promos, but are actually showing them the type of content that they want to see. So I would definitely recommend thinking about what your ideal customer would want. Just think about, what do they value, and how can I give that to them? So something that we've been experimenting with is doing a lot more recipes and storage tips, updates on what's in season, giveaways, just adding a lot of like fun and value to our content. That isn't to say that we don't sell things and do our promotions, but it's really important that I would say at least 50% of your content is stuff more like this that just gives back to your customer. In addition, like we talked about, my bullet point number three here, I think that you can show your customers a lot of value by keeping your communication short and sweet, and showing them that you value their time and you're always going to send them pretty succinct, digestible stuff. All right, here's a social media post example. This is a carousel post that I created for Instagram primarily. And this is just a list of different types of soups that you might be able to make with, or sorry, salads that you might be able to make with seasonal ingredients. This is something I took directly from my vegetable storage guide. That content was already written. I just took it in Canva. I created this template so I can place my content into here at any time and have a fairly quick post. And I think that that could be a useful strategy. Okay, here's an email where I tried to provide value. This was toward the end of the season where I do begin to sell my CSA. But I wanted to not jump right into CSA season without giving back to my customers. So I wrote this email toward Thanksgiving, and I just had three of my husband and I's favorite holiday recipes. Um, it was fairly simple to put together, and people really enjoyed it. And it wasn't really trying to sell anything. So this is kind of an example of content that you could try, where you're not trying to sell, but just to kind of treat your customers to something special. This is part of a giveaway that I was doing recently on email. This was a promotion. This was for our market share CSA. Um, but I was trying to think of ways that I could give back while we were advertising at the same time. So I set up a giveaway campaign. We were giving away a set of basically local food every day for 5 days during our CSA promo. Um, And if you signed up, you would get entered to win. People really like this, and I feel like it was really good for me too. I wasn't just trying to sell people stuff, I actually had something to offer. And for me, that made promoting our product a lot more comfortable. And I didn't feel, bad being in their inbox a couple extra times this week because I was kind of giving back at the same time. All right. Another important principle for communication is to be encouraging feedback and dialogue with your content. So, in email, you can do this by asking a thought-provoking question, asking for help, asking for advice or ideas, just some kind of question at the end to try to get people to reply. For social media, there's even more ways to do this. You want to be asking questions that prompt a comment, but you can also include polls and all kinds of other things to help people interact. This kind of keeps your communication a two-way street, which is just, it's going to look good for the algorithm. Your customers are going to enjoy it more. There's just a lot of benefits to be thinking about incorporating this into your communications. My last note here is that sometimes you're going to get a lot of replies and sometimes you aren't going to get any. And it can feel a little awkward asking a question on social media and not getting a reply, but I have learned to just take that as data. I've learned that those aren't the topics that our customers are most interested in. And based on their comments, I can see what they do want to talk about. So you're kind of learning about them and taking their feedback to heart over time. Here's a simple example of how I was doing that. My farm sells a lot of carrots, and a lot of customers ask us if they need to peel them or not. And so in this post, I was kind of letting them know, hey, I don't peel my carrots, and you don't have to. And what do you guys do in your kitchen? So it was really designed to prompt a comment and get them thinking about our product and all kinds of other things. And we got a really nice, in-depth response here. So those are the kinds of questions you could be thinking about on social media. Here's another one. I created a graphic template again in Canva that I can pop a question into anytime. And I just asked people what they are preserving, like what they preserved last summer and are enjoying now to get them thinking about food preservation throughout the winter. And I got a couple nice comments on that as well.
Are you using a paid account on Canva or just the free options?
Yeah, I'm typically using the free options. Whenever I need it, I do sign up for a month and then cancel. But for most of what I do, I don't need it.
Okay, great.
I wanted to include an email example here too of how you can ask for feedback. So this was something I sent toward the end of last year. I'm letting my customers know I'm crop planning, I'm thinking of them. I noticed that they love broccolini and want to see more of that. We were always sold out of that. And then I asked them if they had any vegetables that they wished we might have next year to kind of prompt a response that way. All right. So another thing I'm thinking about with my communications are helping our customers get to know the people behind the farm. I think it's really important to reintroduce your farm on a regular basis, just to give any newcomers a really good jumping off point to understanding what you're all about. And the people who have been with you for a really long time really enjoy reading those as well. So I'll show you some examples of how we're doing that in social media, especially. You can also be sharing your stories that share your values and your origin story, your day-to-day life on the farm, and how your values play out in what you do. And through all of that, I think it's really important to be your authentic self. So let me show you examples of each of those. Um, we won't have time to look at all of the examples today, but I do want to play one of these, and the video might be choppy. We'll see if it works out. You can see any of these on my Instagram later. But this is a post where I was trying to reintroduce my husband and I, help them get to know the farm, and just provide some really fun content. We get a lot of likes and feedback on these, so they're really fun to do. I'll let that loop one more time. Cool. Yeah, so you can see this is a really fairly simple reel. I don't think it would have to be a reel. It could definitely be images, still images. Um, but it just reintroduces who we are, some of our farm's values about how we're a small farm, but we're strong, all those different things. It gives people a really awesome way to get to know us. Um, and something that you'll see too as we look through the reels is I'm reusing these video clips a lot. So I don't think that you have to be capturing new video all the time to be really successful with this tactic.
I think an important question just came in, Carly. You can maybe speak about
Totally.
it, show some other things, is how do you make the videos?
Yeah, great question. Yeah, I am making them within Instagram right now. There's different apps where you can do it for sure. Um, yeah, there's all kinds of different ways you could be making them. But yeah, I do it right in the app, and I'm always sure to download the content after I've created that so that I can reshare it on other platforms or even share it again on Instagram in a year or so. I think that, these are a good, they probably take maybe, half an hour or more to create. So you'll want to make sure it's a useful asset more than once.
So you're recording, just make sure I understand. You're recording the video and then you're through the Instagram app, you're able to select clips um, from your phone. Is that
Exactly. Yeah, yep. And so I mean, as a farmer, I'm taking photos and videos of stuff all the time, and it's not always like social media content. So it's really helpful to make folders within your phone. And I have one on my phone just named like farm life videos or something. So then in Instagram, when you try to go to create this video, you won't be overwhelmed by all the video clips on your phone, but you can sort of sort them out as you go and create the more edited video on Instagram later.
and these are reels that you posted as well.
They are.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, here's another reel that I was experimenting with this year. This one kind of introduces our values. I was writing that, Iowa imports a lot of food and our farm is here to change that. I'll show you this one as well. Yeah. And you can see that this one got a good amount of traction and likes. People really enjoyed it. Um, and it's just basically sharing a statistic and how our farm aims to change that. So I was kind of trying to demonstrate our values here. And again, I feel like you could totally accomplish this within an image and a caption instead if you are just getting comfortable with the video format.
Yeah. Another question came in about those videos. Do you have any suggestions on picking the music or the audio that you're putting with those? How you
Yeah.
search for it or how you do that?
Yeah, I at first, you can pick trending audios, and that's something I kind of did at first, but for us being a local farm and just selling our product locally, it's not very helpful if, we catch a trend and, all these people from out of state or something are finding and liking it. So now I just pick music that I like.
Okay.
So I'm not too strategic about it anymore. I think that that's more important for the national brands.
Okay. Awesome. And then there is a question about video tips for people that don't have or use smartphones. I know it's harder on Instagram because it is so phone based as far as creation goes, content creation, but maybe Facebook, just using a camera and doing some editing on computer software, I suppose.
Right. I do think that there might be an Adobe program too that you can use, but that might be a paid thing. But yeah, I haven't done any on my camera and then moved it over to social media myself.
I've done a little bit and yeah, I've just looked at videos and you have to crop things and turn them and to make tall tall videos and all sorts of
Totally.
that. So, but yeah, it can be a little more challenging. I would say maybe Facebook would be the easier place to do that. Different audience.
Yeah, totally. And yeah, I am posting mostly posting these on both Instagram and Facebook as well.
Sure, sure. And how long are your videos typically?
Yeah, I keep them really short. I've had a lot of luck with the short, snappy content, maybe under 6 or 7 seconds. But sometimes I do get on there and I talk about a program that we have or show people something that we're doing on the farm, and those can be closer to 1 minute long.
Great,
But
thank you.
I call those short videos in the last two slides like a montage, I guess, is how I think about it. Um, so real short.
Awesome.
Yeah. This slide I included because it's an example of kind of how we are sharing our values. And I wanted to include just a still photo because um, a lot of us donate food to pantries and stuff, but we might not think to take a picture of it. But people love to see it. And whenever you're doing something that kind of shows you living your values, I think that could be a really useful moment to share with your audience.
Great. And there's some good info coming in on the chat too. Some
Cool.
people are using Canva to create videos and then upload them through Meta Business Suite. So that's a good way to get them both to Facebook and Instagram using Canva. So thank you.
Yeah. Awesome. This reel I'm not gonna play for you. You can totally go watch it on Instagram, but it starts with me laughing at myself, I guess, because I had accidentally like slammed my cutting board on the counter. But this is just kind of a reminder to not filter out all your personality or try to be too presentational on social media. I think that your customers really want to see you be slightly vulnerable or funny.
Great.
Cool. So in this last section, we're going to talk about speeding up marketing as a busy farmer and some of the things that I've found useful. And one of those things will definitely be the Meta Business Suite. Um, so the first thing that I do to save time is remember to recycle your content. A lot of the things that I post or share in an email, I will kind of copy and paste over to social media and vice versa. So never forget that you can use your email content more than once if it's not, only relevant on that one specific day. So you recognize this photo from earlier. This was in our email, and I also put it on Instagram and Facebook. I just slightly changed the text and made it a little bit more social. I asked a question here, asking people what spices they like to use on their roasting veggies to make it a little bit more appropriate for social media, but it was a really minimal change and a really quick way to get the post out there and use the content more than once. Likewise, this is a video I had made. These are shishito peppers, and it was the middle of winter. Well, I guess it was April, but the shishitos weren't in season, and so I popped them out of my freezer. I had frozen them whole and threw them right in the pan. Um, and I just wanted to take a short video of it to remind my customers that if you freeze your shishitos during the season, you can enjoy them all year long. This was a really quick video to make. Oops. But yeah, this is a video that I downloaded because I want to share this again when shishitos are in season. So I'll be posting this exact video a second time. Cool. So the next principle that I use to speed up my content creation is to use some repetition. So I'm often posting about the same thing in several different ways. So this winter I had a lot of garlic on hand. It was one of the few products I still had available. And so I was thinking about garlic. And so I guess I got on a roll and I made 3 different posts about garlic. Um, and I think that it's really helpful to kind of repeat yourself I don't think people are annoyed by it at all on social media when you go garlic crazy for a week. I think they think it's kind of fun and it's kind of like a mini series. And for me, it makes the content a lot easier to think of. So in the first video on the left here, I was talking about how to prep it, how to, get the cloves out as quickly as possible. In the second video in the middle, I was talking about how some of the nutritional properties of garlic. And then on the right, I used a photo of my husband in season, harvesting the garlic. But I was talking about and gave a recipe for doing roasted garlic in the oven. So it was kind of a fun little series and a different way to think about content. Similarly, you could think about remixing content. If you see something that performed really well, you can try to make just smaller changes and post about that same thing again in a slightly different way. Um, this project, so you recognize the video on the left, I was sharing a statistic about farming and how my farm related to and made a positive impact on that statistic. And so I tried to emulate this through a couple more videos and create kind of a series. So in the second video, I was talking about how pollinators are responsible for 1 in 3 of the bites of food we eat. And so on my Instagram, I went ahead and talked about how my farm plants flowers to try to support them. And then I tried it a third time to talk about land use in the US and how we'd love to see more food farming and just kind of the impact that my farm tries to have on that. So you can see that these are all fairly similar to each other. They use the same basic format. Um, so if you see something that goes really well and is successful, I would recommend trying it a second time. And that can be a really great way to get to know what your audience really likes. All right. So scheduling is kind of a lot of what makes this doable for me. I wasn't always scheduling on social media. I've done a lot of just posting during the farm workday from my phone, but I think that it's a lot easier to be consistent once you start scheduling your posts. And the easiest way to do this, and probably the free way to do this, is on Meta Business Suite. That's something I've used a lot. You can post both on Instagram and Facebook through Meta Business Suite for free and schedule out for a couple weeks. And that can really be helpful as you're thinking through your content more strategically. Right now, I am using later.com. It is a paid platform. It is a little bit more user-friendly to me and a little bit less buggy, but it does, have a cost associated with it, but I do find it worthwhile. I have a screenshot from inside that program. It's kind of handy because it's in a calendar format and you can drag your posts around and spread them out throughout your month. So another advanced tactic you could think about is having a social media schedule for yourself. So over time, instead of thinking of my content and just thinking about what comes up for me, I have started to try to develop kind of a formula for the different kinds of posts that I want to be doing within a given month. So this is totally just my formula for right now, totally subject to change based on what I see is working. And yours might look totally different, but I think that here I'm just trying to illustrate that instead of just thinking, oh, I should post something today, it can be really helpful to have sort of a loose structure. So for me, that is about 3 posts a month that are kind of those montage videos where I'm sharing our values or reintroducing our farm. About 4 times a month, I'll be doing sales posts where I'm directly, selling something or highlighting a special that we have on the farm. Um, about 4 times a month, I'm trying to do education or provide value. So those usually look like recipes or food preservation tips. About 3 times a month, I'm trying to post about our farm life or do something kind of a day in the lifestyle or even give personal updates if it's something that I'm interested in sharing with my audience. And then lastly, about 2 times a month, I am trying to promote my free veggie storage guide PDF. I let people know that they can send us their email and get that for free. So last up, and then we can go to questions. I just wanted to give credit and share with you some of the resources that I found most valuable as I was thinking through marketing for the farm. Um, a podcast I've been listening to for several years now is the My Digital Farmer podcast by Corinna Bench. She is a farmer in Ohio. And so she has a lot of great tips and ideas that I've implemented. She's the one who inspired me to do the vegetable storage guide. So I would definitely check out her resources, especially if you're doing that vegetable storage guide in particular. Next up is Charlotte Smith. She does the Profitable Mindset podcast and also has different classes. I've just used her free resources so far, but her stuff is really useful. She is a dairy farmer out in Washington State. And then lastly, I use Instagram tips from Jenna Harding. She is not a farmer, but just really, she's really great at promoting how to do better Instagram marketing and how to be really relatable and authentic to your audience. And I think that she really does a good job of sharing ideas that are easy to implement and don't take a lot of your time as a business owner. And that's all I have.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Great. Well, yes. Thank you so much, Carly. And do start putting questions in. We have some questions that we'll start with. But if you have any questions that have come up through Carly's awesome presentation here, I would put them in the Q&A or the chat. The first one's kind of back to the emails. Do you schedule, you mentioned you schedule it on Friday. Do you have like a similar framework for the types of emails you want to send like you do for your social media posts? Do you reuse any emails from previous years, maybe with some edits? You kind of talked about that a little bit as well, reusing things. Because yeah, coming up with the new content can be exhausting. So yeah, what are your kind of thoughts on that? Or do you schedule a month at a time or just weekly?
Yeah, I am scheduling those weekly, to be honest. As a vegetable farmer, I'm never completely sure what I'm going to have available until maybe a couple days before the market. So I am doing them week by week. Um, I don't have a formula type for that either. It totally depends on what's going on at the farm. Sometimes I'm promoting an event that we have that's upcoming or something else. I think what's really important is that you try to narrow down the things that you are trying to talk about in a given email. So I used to do these emails that had, our upcoming events and restaurants that had our food right now and a special that we're having at the farmers market. But I think the trends are definitely saying to reduce the number of things that you're trying to cover. So what I've found the most effective is kind of zooming in on just one vegetable that's newly coming into season. And we might have a deal on it, we might not. I don't do a ton of deals at the farm, but sometimes. Um, and just focusing on that one vegetable and a recipe that people can use is probably the most successful tactic. And at the farmers market, we kind of see that play out. The number of sales for that item typically does go up. And even if we bring extra, we can often sell out of that item just because we talked about it in our email that day.
Awesome. Great. Julia had a question and she said later has a free version as well as the paid version for that you use. But she said, so are you basically posting every other day on your social media roughly, or is it just kind of maybe you'll do 2 or 3 days in a row and then a few days off, or do you have a schedule for that as well?
Yeah, so I'm not too regimented about it. I am trying to do roughly this number of posts per week or so, or per month. But I kind of spread them out evenly across the month. I personally don't pay too much attention to the days or times that I'm sending them. I just kind of try to keep them spread out. That's definitely subject to change, if my data is saying that, people don't view our posts on Sundays, or something like that. But I'm not too strategic about, doing exactly 2 posts per week or anything like that. And I will say that sometimes our frequency does go down in the winter because there's just less to talk about. I try to keep some momentum going, but sometimes there just isn't a lot to say, and so I don't try to push it. But in general, during the season and most months of the year, I'm trying to do 2 or 3 posts a week.
Sure. What about YouTube? Have you used YouTube at all in any marketing? Do you think it's uh yeah, what do you think about YouTube as a marketing option?
Yeah, I have not used YouTube a lot at all for marketing. I think it's a useful platform, and the data says that young people are on it, and all that. I have really focused my efforts on Instagram and Facebook for right now, but I think it's really valuable, and I have seen a lot of people take, and post really great longer form content on YouTube, and you can totally break that up into shorter reels and recycle those and put those on other social media platforms too. So I think there's a lot of ways you could use it really successfully for your farm.
Great. The next question that came in is about your posting. You said your emails are Saturday morning they're going out. Is
Mhm.
is there a reason you're doing that? Some of the data, the question says MailChimp says Tuesdays are best for Max Open. Is it just your schedule for your marketing?
Yeah, gosh, I'm trying to remember if I used to send them out on Fridays. It's definitely something I've thought about. Yeah, but for me, it's based totally on the fact that our market is every Saturday morning and I want it to be really fresh. I believe I schedule them for about 5:30 in the morning. And sometimes I do watch as people are opening it, and I'm just so surprised at how many people are, rolling out of bed and opening our email very first thing in the morning. So for us, it's strategic so that they are remembering to go to the farmers market. But if I were doing an online store or some other sales channel, I would very unlikely send it during the weekend. But the market is really what's driving that. And occasionally I do hear from people at the market who say they only remembered to come today because of the email.
Yeah, yeah. What do you know what sort of how many emails you have or how many email contacts you have on your list or what percentage you get opens?
Yeah. Right now we have about 390 contacts on email. Some of those are friends and family, but they are good supporters to have too. But yeah,
Nice.
most of them are like really local customers, and people who have signed up for our products or bought them in the past. Um, yeah, so we have a really good open rate. We have about 75% during the season, and but during the winter, I noticed it's maybe, I think it's been about 67%. I think there's definitely a seasonal drop off. And I think that the customers could be expecting that during the winter, we might be asking them to sign up for CSA. So I'm really trying to change um, that by providing them a lot of value in the winter. But yeah, our email rate's about 75% during the season. And I do clean up the contacts. I have a list that MailChimp, um, I filter in MailChimp for people who haven't opened the last 10 emails. And I do archive them from our list. Ideally, I would send them an email, like a re-engagement campaign is what it's called, where I would send them like a coupon or something to use with us and try to get them to open it again. I haven't had time for that yet, but I try to keep those open rates really high by keeping the list clean. And that's important because it helps people's email inboxes know that you're not spam. They can see if people actually, if you're just spamming people's inboxes or if you're sending people stuff that they really want. So that's the reason to think about whether you want to have a regular strategy where you're keeping your emails all making sure that it's just openers on your list.
Great. Next question. What you mentioned you currently use Facebook, Instagram. So the question was what social platforms do you currently post to? If you're using some of the newer ones or have you used other ones in the past, how's that gone or going for you?
Mhm. Yeah, it's been largely email and Facebook since we started, which was in 2022, so not too crazy long ago. I have signed up for Blue Sky just because some of our customers were trying to get off of Facebook and Instagram, so I wanted to provide them an option. I would say that our account on there isn't fully fledged yet, and yeah, I don't know if it is something that we'll keep posting to in the future or not, but I think that's yeah, a really good way. But yeah, for me, I try to keep um, what we're doing for communications really kind of limited and organized just for my own like purposes, since, I'm a working farmer too, and we all are. And I just don't have the time to keep up with all of it. So I try to make sure that whatever we do, I can do really well.
Sure. Back to the emails. Do you send different emails based on customer segmentation, or do you send emails by content buckets, or do you just sending one email?
Yeah, so I would love to be sending more over time. If I had an online store, I might segment by, products that our customer would like or things like that. I don't have all that data because we are at the farmers market. That said, I do tag people if they are a market share customer. I tag them by the year. So every year I create a new tag. So this year's 2025 market share customer, but I also have all the tags still existing for 2024 and 2023. Um, so that is one way that I'm tagging people. I'm also tagging people as local or non-local because I know some of those non-local customers, some of our stuff just won't be relevant for them. So I filtered them out sometimes. Um, what other tags? Yeah, those are the primary ones. So, for example, this winter when I was trying to get people to sign up again for our market share CSA and sending those emails about the giveaway that we were having where they could enter if they signed up for the CSA. Um, the first email promotion I sent about that, I sent to our whole list minus non-local people. And then the second email I sent about um, it filtered out people who had already signed up, um, which I think is important. You don't want people who already signed up for the program to be getting asked again.
Yeah.
And then I just sent that to people who had opened the first email. So you can do that in
Okay.
MailChimp too. Um,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. I want to hit a few more here real quick so we can kind of blast through these. Do you have any tips, best practices for subject lines, email subject lines?
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm not as creative as I'd love to be with them, but it's really important to try to push yourself with those. Make sure it doesn't say weekly update or, like January or February 12th or something. I would keep it kind of relevant and specific. So if I'm talking about those carrots and beets that we have on special, I would, yeah, I would try to do something fun about roots and being on special in that subject line.
Okay. Awesome. Let's see. Nicole says, I just looked up your market share program on your website. How are you keeping track of those customers? I see they don't even need a gift card or anything to show at the market.
That's right. Yeah. So we are managing that program through Square right now. We have Square gift cards that we keep on file for them at the market. So I have them sorted in a box by last name.
Okay.
So yeah, if I saw Ethan Book coming, I would just grab his card out and then let him pick anything that he wants from the stand. And then I swipe the card on my phone and then the balance is declined.
So you're just handling the cards so they don't have to, one less thing for them to remember to bring to the market.
Yes, because those cards you can't replace and yeah, it just makes sense, I guess. It's super easy for them. They love it.
Yeah, yeah. Awesome. Uh, and do you absorb the cost to load the gift cards?
I
Um,
do right now. I am looking into how I could do it differently through local line. I think it would be a little bit more complicated, but yeah, I'm looking for something where there would be less fees, but right now we are paying the fee.
Okay, awesome. And then we'll get this last one here, and there's a lot of great uh, questions and answers in the chat, so make sure to check that as well. But last question we have, do you have any different marketing strategies, whether it's email, social media, or contacts for the restaurants and other businesses you sell to?
Mm. Yeah, I think that our wholesale side of our business is still a little bit in development. And I'm dealing with different types of customers. I know that one of them we're uploading inventory through their local line. Most of them we email. So every week on Monday. I send a list of our wholesale availability that's going out to local restaurants and our local food hub. And they are just responding back with what they'd like. I don't do a lot of marketing in there. I will let people know if something's on special, but I don't always take time to write about what's coming into season or things like that. But I think that could be a good improvement for the future, especially for the chefs who are more curious about the unique qualities of the food.
Carly, thank you again so much for a ton of information